much. So I'll be sharing my screen now. I'd also like to get confirmation from you guys when you can see my screen, please. All right, thank you very much. So just be sharing my entire screen. Yeah, so just if you can hear me, just let me know in your chat. Oh, Latifat, you said you can't hear anything. Okay, you can hear and see. That's nice. That's nice. All right. So basically, um so I won't be able to see the chat while I'm sharing my screen because I'm sharing my entire screen. However, if you can't hear me or have any problem, I think Joshua, you can just help me with probably just unmute your mic and letting me know.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, so it's nice to be here, friends of Figma, Joss. It's nice to see everyone of us here, even though I can't see your faces. So my name is David Shitu. I'm a product designer, just like many of us here, and we are all learning every day. So I'm here to learn with you and just share some of the little things I know about creating responsive design in Figma. So I'll just be sharing these ideas. So whatever question you have, just put it on the chat. I'll check. I will try to toggle between it and see if I have like a pressing no. Just note your question down. So at the end, I'll just answer questions. It doesn't have to be questions even relating to responsive designs actually. So if you feel you have like an question that's been bugging your mind for a while, we could probably look at it together. So yeah, just once again, I'm a product designer. I have 2 years experience, more than 2 years experience as a designer. I work for a design agency called This Is Garci. So we work with different clients all over the world. And I would say it has been a wonderful experience being a designer. And everybody likes designing. So let me just move forward. So our topic says creating responsive design in Figma. So this is going to be very short. So basically, we just have to ask, what is responsive design? And we need to know why there is a need for responsive design actually. Why should we care about this? So I just have a definition here. Since responsive web design is an approach that advocates for designing and developing websites in a way that adapts to users' behavior, environment, and design characteristics such as screen size, platform, and orientation. So this was big grammar, and I'll just be breaking it down, just making something simple. So basically, you might have like a 13-inch maybe laptop. Someone else can have like a 49-inch monitor. Another person might have like a mobile phone. Another person might have an iPad, a Next Hub. There are a lot of devices out there. So what we are seeing responsive design is you are trying to design in such a way that the designs are friendly to all these devices at the same time. So your app will not just be working on, say, a laptop and a phone. So that's basically what responsive design is. So why make design responsive? Basically, as of 2019, we have like over 2 billion computers in the world. And there was a point where design was you just have to design for the web. That's because when they started, when the internet revolution started, all we had were personal computers. So we just had like screens and screens and all. So with the the invention of the graphic user interface, so you just have to design for the web. However, we can see as at 2021, we have 15 billion mobile phones as compared to computers. So you see that there's a lot of mobile phones out there. So where if you are designing a SaaS, say a SaaS product, a SaaS app, SaaS app are usually on the web. Don't worry if you don't know the SaaS means software as a service. Software as a service. So these are applications that run on the web. If you have a question about it, we can still talk about it at the end. So what we were saying is that if you have a SaaS product like that and it's just on the web, if people can't use it on their mobile phone, you'll be losing a lot of customers because many people don't have computers, especially in remote areas and different places. So you have to make your website web friendly and also mobile friendly. So that's basically what responsive design. That's why we have to design to be responsive. So design has to be friendly and usable for every devices. If there are 2 billion people computers in the world, and your app, that means the potential users that you have is just 2 billion. And if you have 15 billion people now, you have potential of what? Of reaching 15 billion people. So that is much more. I know that the whole point of design is so that we can get our product in the hands of people, make it usable and friendly. Now, there is a new update with the new Android Google Pad, Google iPad or something like that. So before, many of the apps were not responsive, and you have like issues where some apps will not configure well with another. You just see that maybe like your hamburger item is down. However, with the new Google Material Design 3, they've done a lot of things to make it more responsive, and it's nice. You know, we might say that design is for functionality. However, aesthetics also matter. If your design is not fine, users actually tend to feel as though your design does not work well also. So we consider both ways. So just let me just move forward, because I have to design and show how responsive design should be. I hope you are still following me, please. I hope you can hear me and see me. I say see me. I hope you can see
Yeah.
follow, please. All right, thank you very much. So I'll just be going forward again. So now there's a difference between responsive design and adaptive design. There's even one called fluid design, which I would not like to go into. It's basically an amalgamation of both of them. But basically, is responsive design use single layer that adjusts in response to screen size. And I'll be showing us example. While adaptive design is like responsive design, which also adapts to different screen sizes. However, adaptive design is just don't let me finish that. Basically, what I'm saying is this. Let me give an example of what a responsive design is. Now, this let me give you an example. A responsive design means that whenever you are okay, let me just find the website. Let me say figma.com. I hope okay, let me find maybe I don't know, not Facebook. That's let me just see. Maybe Netflix. Or let me just try. I'm trying to look for a website that has a very simple layout. Okay, apple.com. Maybe apple.com should have a simple layout. Now, a way of seeing checking, you can use your Chrome to just check how to check the responsiveness of a website. So let's say I inspect. So I just right click and you inspect this website now. You can see how this is another screen size. What you can see is another screen size here. You can actually pick the different screen sizes you want. Maybe an iPhone SE. Now you can see that this website has changed its layout just to match. Let's say I pick an iPhone 12 Pro. You see exactly the same thing, and you can see exactly the same thing. Now, I would actually like to show you how it works directly without just picking. See, there are different devices. So this website is actually it's responsive for all these devices. Let's say I just pick responsive now. I can just toggle this and I'll show you how it is actually responding to change in size. How it is responding in change in size. So when you are designing responsive design in Figma, it's not for you. It's so that you can give the developers, the engineers, an idea of what this screen should look like when it changes from this particular device to another device. Because you have a lot of this is the Apple logo, this is store, Mac, iPad, and a lot of navigation bars here. Now, when you start switching, you know you can't display everything. Now, everything has been ending what behind what an hamburger menu here. So that's like a way. So now this looks like an iPad here. Yeah. So you go on and all. So this is basically an example of a responsive design. However, an adaptive design is very different in the sense that look at this responsive. Every single thing you see here is also here, and the layout is basically the same thing. If you are to check this now, you reduce this size now. It just changes this layout. An example of an adaptive design is Twitter. Now, adaptive design I usually use mostly for like web apps and all, meaning that if you notice the way Gmail looks like on your web, it's not the same Gmail looks like on your phone. The navigation is far different. Now, this is Twitter. Now, you have how many navigations bar? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A lot of things. Now, while you start scrolling and start changing the size, you see that it's responding. It's responding. But it gets to a point where it just becomes like mobile, where you have what? This 4 nav bar, and things changes. And maybe like your search and everything changes and all. So basically is that an adaptive design will have a new layout on its own. The layout is far different when you go to different devices. So what your laptop is checking is, okay, which device is this on now? Is this a small screen? Should I switch to an entire new layout, or should I switch to something that is different, something that is similar to what we have earlier? I will still try to explain more, but just let me just go on because of our time. Let me get back to Figma, please. So adaptive design is like responsive design, basically. It also adapts to different screen sizes. However, adaptive design content chooses the best configuration for selection of fixed layouts. So you could have, say for example now, you could have just, this is a screen now, and you have like rectangles here, and they are wide like this. Just let me make this now. Let me increase the size of this to the same thing. I know. Okay, let me make this now. Let's give this us a color here. Let's give this us another color here. Let's say this is black. Now, if this were to be responsive, you take this down. What would be is, by the time you reduce this screen size, okay, let's assume this will actually like this. Let me assume this is like this. This is our web. Let's assume this is our web now. If you are taking to mobile, it will become this. But for adaptive design, you could have it in a way that for you to get to this green rectangle, you might have to come access it maybe at a navigation bar somewhere different entirely. Where before you get to this, else at least a content here. And this content is like, say, maybe like picture or something like that. So you have to go through another method of getting to that particular location. That's basically the difference. I think I focus too much on adaptive design because that's our point for this. So let's just move forward. So there are some things that you should note when designing for responsive design, especially on Figma, is that you have to know your grid. You have to know your grids, your breakpoints, and viewports. So basically, grid is I'm very sure many of us as designers we've probably used grids before. Let's say you're designing like on a web now. Let's say our standard web now, desktop 1440 now. So this is basically a grid, a layout grid. You add one there. So this is a layout grid here. However, there are different layout grid out there. You know, a grid means it's column and rows. So we can change this words to column. So a standard what they call it? Come on, please. Okay, I chose rows. Sorry, columns. Now, let me just give an example of a grid. Now, this is Google's Material 3 design system. So you might check it on Figma. It's a very nice design system, and it's something that you can use to learn a lot of things and all. So there are different. So this is like a grid. So this is a grid from Google's design. So this is what they use to design, and there are different screen sizes. Now Google uses this kind of design where, by the time you are changing the screen sizes, the content still stay fixed in the center. So look at the way the grid starts from. There's a grid here. There's a grid here. So by the time you go like this, now this stretches. So the contents will still stay stretched inside the matter. So it's straight. You can see that this is the grid itself is responsive. I can decide to say, okay, I want my content to just stay in the center alone. And I change this on Figma. I said, okay, this is my grid now. I don't want it to stretch. I want to be center aligned. So if there is a content here, and this is our content, this is what we are designed. This is everything we've designed now. By the time okay, now this is already going into this now. If you see, anyhow I do this now, my content will always stay in the middle, no matter the screen size. If someone is using a 49-inch monitor, it will always stay in the middle. But if I were to use, so there are different ways where you want, it depends on whatever style you want as a designer or what you want for your product. And no, so this is an example of a grid layout in for Google's design. Now they say breakpoints. So breakpoints means that those things I showed you earlier, where we said let's say we are checking this now. Now, these are different breakpoints. Your iPhone SER, your XR, your 12 Pro, these are different breakpoints. So these are different frame sizes. Let's say you are 1440 inches. You're not going to 744 for tablet. That's another breakpoint. You're going to maybe 375 for a mobile screen. That's also another breakpoint. So these are what different breakpoints that, okay, by the time this gets to this particular screen size, this is what I want this screen to show. By the time this gets to another screen size, this I want what this other thing was to show. So you set those breakpoints in the design while designing. You set what those breakpoints and all. So I was trying to say that these are things you should know. Breakpoints. I just explained that now. So okay, this is the breakpoint now. Viewport basically means all the users can see at this time. All the users can see. An example is, as you can see, these dots now. There are some dots that are outside this frame, but they are not visible to you. So those dots are outside the viewport. So what the user can see is basically what's the viewport. So that is just the screen size. So there can be a moment where our Apple website now, you could see the nav bar straight at a particular viewpoint. You could see everything here. But when you get to a particular viewport, it changes where it disappears and what enters what an hamburger menu. So that is basically what those are. So what I'll be doing now is just taking you to just trying to for us to design something on Figma. So just design something and just work because it works in we have to have like a practical session and just have something we can take home and also explore with. I don't get what I'm saying. So basically what I'll be doing now is I'll be creating just three specs. Basically I'll just be creating a desktop screen, a desktop frame, a tablet frame, and also a mobile frame so that we can get something on. So I think many of us like using, it depends on wherever you, but I prefer using a desktop 1440 for my desktop size, for my desktop screen. So let us assume I want to design a particular a particular screen. Now this is what I'm working on for a particular company. So we have like let's say we have a logo here. Just let me type logo, and let's say we just have this logo here. Now let me set my my layout grid. So basically I just want to use this just to give me a guide column. So I use a gutter of 16. I use a count 12. I give a margin of 120. So I think I have some screens that I gave here actually. So I think it would just be nice if I just use that so that's not to waste our time. So just let me bring this here. So I just have this here already, but I'll just be deleting this. So we create it from scratch ourselves. So this is an example of a simple website, website, however it can be. It's very, very simple. I hope you can see this. Let me just check through and see what is going on here. All right. So I see, okay, I can see that you guys are still following. So just let me get back here. So this is just a simple website. This is something you can just have here. Let's assume you've designed this. Okay, let's assume everything is on auto layout, and I have this also. This is just normal. Let me take this. Now, if you see this now, let us assume that, okay, we've just placed this text on our own. If we start changing the screen size, can you see that, okay, this is even, let me remove the constraints here. Let me just remove the constraints here. Now, if we change the desktop size here, you see that nothing is happening. This is actually constrained. Let me remove something. I don't want to go to Unsplash and get another image again, but I think I might have to just do that. Just let me do that. So I'm using a frame. So when you want your layout to respond, to change the viewport, to change its sizes, you have to use auto layouts and frames. So as we know as designers, I know there's this argument of like rectangles or frames. You should always use frames. There's a lot you can do with frames and rectangles. So let's assume I just want to get an image now on Splash. Let me just get a small, let's just use a small image. Let's just search, okay, animal. Let's just search a beautiful fox. Yeah, this is a nice fox. And we have it here. So the fox is in a frame. Sorry about that. So the fox is in a frame here. So let me make our screen 1440 back. So this is it now. If you notice, by the time I start taking this, switching this, there's nothing happening like we want to. So what we want to first do is we take this now, let us ungroup it or unframe it, whatever you call it. It's because this is a frame, it's an auto layout frame. Because they are in different positions of the screen. So this logo is at the left hand side, this sign up button is at the right hand side, and your navigations buttons are also at the middle. So what you want to do, your navigation button have to be in what? In an auto layout. If it's not, you have to what? Add auto layouts to it. So that's the nice thing about Figma with auto layout. So you add it to it. Then your left side now you want to add something called constraints. Constraints means that a particular item that is on a frame, it is constrained to wherever you want it to be constrained to. So like the word constraint just means that something is restricted. So if you say this particular item, the logo, is constrained to this part, that means you are making it stay restricted to this particular part. Now, you will see the constraints menu here. So you can constrain it to different parts of the screen. Now, if I say, now there are two constraints. There's the horizontal and there's the vertical constraint. So this scene here is the horizontal, so the vertical constraint. So this logo now, I want it to be constrained. Let's say I want to be constrained to the right. Let's assume I want to be constrained to the right. And I want to be constrained to the bottom. Now, can you see that there's a line here that Figma is showing that this is constrained to the right and this is constrained to the bottom. So by the time I shift this will not move because it is feeling as though the right is not moving. Okay, let me move from the right and you will see what I'm talking about. Let me see, constrained to right and bottom. Now, if I move this to the right, the logo will move to the right. Can you see that this logo, as far as I'm moving, the logo will continue moving to the right because it is constrained to the right. But as we can see, this logo is at the left hand side of our page. Hence, we want it to be constrained to the left part of the page. So I take I go left. That's on the horizontal side, and seeing that our logo is at the top, we want to constrain to the top also. So by the time I move this logo, so no matter how my logo is resized, my logo will just will stay at the left top of the screen. Now I'll be doing that quickly. So I think we get that part of it. So let me just see my screen size back to 1440. That's for our web. Now for this our navigation bars, as you can see, they are in the middle and they also at the top. So what our constraints will be look at the constraints here, will be at will be center, and it's to be constrained to the top. Now if you notice now, if you see now, if by the time I move this, they will continue to stay at the center. They will continue to stay at this at the center. Let me start again. Let's assume I've added the constraints to left. If I move this, all they will do is just stay one side. But if I change this to center, you see that the constraints they will stay at the center, basically. So let me do that, make it fast so we can just move on and just see, because we have different viewports to design. So now my sign up is at the right and is at the top. So what I'll just constrain to the right and also at the top. Right top. Oh, I haven't changed this. This should be to the center. So by the time I do this now, it says what at the center. Let me make this 1440 again. And I bring this to the center. Then center top. Now, if you can see the screen now, we can see that our navigation is actually what? Our navigation is what is working properly. So just let me do that fast and forward this now. One thing you have to do is that if you want, now Figma has this thing called text wrapping, where your text will actually wrap. However, it works, but if you want this to work well, you have to use auto layout, and you make your text, you make it fill container. So while this is here now, fill container. So I've set this to fill container, meaning that no matter what I type here, whatever I type here, it will continue what extending to fill the container. Can you see that now? This will fill the container. So just let me take it back to this. Now, the reason I'm doing that is so that by the time I move this, my text will also will change size. Can you see that the text is going down by the time the container is shifting? The text will switch the sizes, they will change their size by the time I'm doing that. So you have to make it fill container. This will be fill container. And your image here. Now, seeing that your image is at the center, and you see that okay, we can decide to constrain it to the top. We can decide to constrain it to the center, wherever you want it to be. Looking at it at the center, but I think I will leave it at the center for now. And yeah, so this is basically our viewport for the desktop size. Now let me try resizing this for you to see. Oh, I think there's an issue here. Let me check this constraints here. Fixed. This is fill. Yeah, fixed. This is center top. Right top. A moment, please. Come on. This should, a moment, please. Oh, sorry. This should scale. One of this should scale because it should scale as the website also scale. So when it is, even though the horizontal side is constrained to the center, then this should also. So it will be scale. I have to make the layout 1440 so that will be our viewport there. They will say, oh, now this scales. Now, by the time you move this, oops, a moment, please. I'm sorry about that. So now you see that this text is scaling. So as the website decreases in size, the text will scale. Now you know that you are not just designing for desktop alone. So you are designing for what? For different screen sizes. So we just take this and we switch to the next screen. So let's say now our tab, let me design for, let's say, an iPad mini. Let's check the screen frame size for an iPad mini here. A tablet. Okay, tablets. So our iPad mini is 744. So we have this for our iPad mini. Can you see that it changed already? However, we have an issue here, is that your navigation is here, and look at the navigation, it's not looking properly. So what we want to do is let us switch our navigation and hide it, just like we have in the Apple side, where our navigation changes to an hamburger. Let us have the same and put our navigation to an hamburger. So we just put this here. Instead of having this here, we just delete this, and I put, let me just get an icon here. Iconify. Just get an hamburger here. Let me just search yeah, menu. Anyone that I like. Let me just pick this. Now we also want to make this switch well. Now, can you remember that we had a layout grid here? Okay, I think I already removed it here. The grid is a column. Let me make this 12 already. What I just want is for the margin. Now, can you see that my logo is what is at the margin? So I also want to do the same also for this. So I want to add the layout grid also to get a margin for it. So let's say I use a column also. I use 8 count. So 8 count means that the number of columns that you can see. I use a gutter of say 16, and I have a margin of 40. Now, meaning that what I'll be putting my logo here, just staying at the margin itself. And yeah, I'm using an hamburger menu now. So X, just let me bring my hamburger menu here, and I bring it here. Very good. Now, what we now have to do is that we also remember that these ones are constrained already. So the effect will also be on the same page here. However, we need to constrain the logo. We need to constrain the hamburger menu that we just brought in here. Now, automatically, Figma recognizes that this is here. So it has constrained it towards the right and top. So this is actually good. And we have what? This is our viewport what for what? Our tablets. So let me just name this tablets. Very good. Now, if you want, then we go to the next viewport. Now, these are just main screen sizes. So the developer will be able to see what this looks like because you have to make this responsive for every single screen. So let's say now we are going to like a phone. Let's just take this to a mobile phone. And I think screen mobile phone is 375 or 414. Let me use 414 in this case. However, let me use, okay, now this should, okay, there's an issue here. This should scale also. This should scale so that your image will also change. Your image will also change. I think I need to make it work. Let me do something here. Let me just do that again. We'll bring this here. We make it 744. Now can you see that the image will scale? I can say just 80 just to see what we have. $40 rather. Then I replace my hamburger menu here, put it to this top right, remove this here. So my hamburger menu, Figma has recognized that it is here, and I've constrained it to the right and to the top. Then say I'll just do the same here to the mobile. So I just use a 414. Automatically, this would also, I can make this like this. You know, most of the time we actually try to reduce our phone screen size, our font size to match also where we are match the screen we are designing for. So I use a 4. Yes, I have got of 16. Yeah, this also works for a mobile screen. And we have something like this here. Now, so you have your viewports for what? For your desktop, your tablet, and your mobile. Something very simple. Now, this is a very simple. Now, this is an oversimplification of what responsive design is. However, we can just take this from here and learn and find how we can make it better and practice on our own. Now, what do you want now? If you want this to be seen on the Figma file and you just want it to be seen clearly like that, you use a plugin called Breakpoint. So you can see the responsiveness of what we've designed and we just see it appear once and for all. So let me just name this tablet. And let me name this phone mobile. So now if I will just get the Figma problem breakpoints. So I just continue. Now you just want to create a new adaptive layout. Let's say I want to have it been down here. Okay, so we have it. You have your adaptive now. You say what? They are not breakpoints. Remember, I said breakpoints was this is a what? This is where the screen sizes are. Just like you have what your iPhone 12 Pro, your XE, your tablet. So these are different what breakpoints. So now we have three different screens here. So we have to add different breakpoints what also to the plugin here. So just basically just add this here. You have a breakpoint. You can add another one. You have another breakpoint. So what we are saying is that from this to this, from 960 to 120, this is the frame size what that is here. But remember that our largest frame size what is 1440. So what we want to do is we want to change this what to 1440. That's our largest breakpoint. Then remember our tablets now. Our tablet is what 744. So if we click this now, if you see that as we can train this now, this is changing. That's changed the breakpoint here what to 1440, 960. What we have here, you see it here. So now let's say I change this what to 744. That's where our tablet starts. Now this is recognizing it. Then our mobile phone, we started from 414. Then we can add what? Maybe just add one here. Just saying this. Now, this is a representation of what we have, meaning that what your largest screen is what 1444 to 744 is this screen. This is what you want to see on the screen. Your viewport should be 744 to 414. This is what the viewport should be. And 414 down, this is what the viewport what should be. So what we want to do is now we click this frame here, then we come here. Okay, now I want to add for 1440. I click this place. Now it says select the frame of horizontal width. That's the width of 744 to 1440. I just click this here. Automatically it's done. Select what? If I click this next one, select the frame for what? Horizontal of 414 to 743. I click this here. Now select what? For 414 to 1. I click this here. First click this here. Then what? You have it here. Now, so we have everything there. Now, if you come, okay, let me remove. Now you see the layout grid is actually messing with each other. So what I can do is now is what I just remove the layout grid from everything here. Just remove the layout grid here. Now the layout grid was a guide. You should know that grids are what are guides. So grids are not defining factors for designing. That's why you can go against grid and design something else. And there are different grid styles. So whatever you like. So now if you see what we have here now. Now by the time I start moving, by the time I get to 744, this changes. Coming. This should be. Now, what has made this now? What's the breakpoint and this thing does is that it makes this a component. So whatever change you make here, you will see it here immediately. You will see it what here immediately. So let me make this center. Let me make this no scale. Let me make this word center. So that's common. I think there's a problem with this frame here. There's a problem with the arrangement of the frame actually. I think there are two frames together. Yeah, this is one here. Moments. I think I'll have to design this frame again. Let's just pick a parrot this time around. Okay, it's the frame size itself that we are. Oh, if I'm doing that, so I'll be designing everything again. Just let me leave this like this. I made a mistake somewhere. Let me have it like this. So now let us say we are moving this now. By the time we get to the viewport of the of the tablet, that's 744. Now this will switch. There's a problem with the location of the image. So sorry about that. I'm coming. Then this will switch to the to the mobile. Let me try to make a correction on this, please. Okay, this is the problem. I did not switch to 1440 because that's what our design is. Our design is doing. Sorry. So this is 1440. This is how it looks like on 1440. Now, by the time we start moving, when we get to 744, this will switch to this, and this will switch. It should be center. This should be scale. So now, I have no idea why the image is misbehaving. Sorry about that. Yes, exactly. Think So I think there's an issue, nevertheless, but I think we get the general gist of what I'm trying to say. Now, this is a very simplified version. In most cases, you'll be using text and be designing with text. And I have no idea why the image is not scaling up with the text. But let us assume we are going without the image for now. Let me assume you are going with that image. So basically, you will be able to see it move. This is our text now. By the time you scroll and you get a particular viewport, now you can see that there's still a navigation bar here. By the time you get to this viewport, when you get to 744, by the time this hits 744, it changes. Can you see that? Little change. It changes immediately. Now, remember our margin. That's why you can see that the logo what can just move to that margin that we set initially at this side, what we choose. So by the time you just move, you move here. You see this change. By the time you get to particular place, everything switches. By the time you get to 414 forward, it also moves. Can you see that this has gone up? Unlike it, if you did not have this set, it will just be going down. But by the time you get to 414 forward, it goes up. So this is basically what you are seeing with the different screen sizes, different patterns. So this is basically what a simple responsive design. Very, very simple one. Now, this is what the engineers will look at, and they're able to make such the effect what in CSS. And the thing about responsive design is you can have where, okay, you can have image on the first one and you can decide that you don't have image on the second one. You can have, so it depends on whatever you want. But as designers, you must just be able to what, to make these templates available and make this seen. Now, this is usually responsive design is usually done a lot with like a lot of design system. So you want that's why you can see that Google will do a lot of things. This is what we want this to appear here. You can see what they have a grid for their what, for their mobile, for their Android here. They have different screen sizes for this like that. You might just be creating a mobile app and you just have mobile alone. You might be creating a web and you have web alone. But it's always good that your design responds to different screen sizes. I don't know if I think that is where I will just stop for now and entertain questions that we might have.
And thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for the session. I just a few
Hello.
minutes ago, I just can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Oh,
you.
can anyone?
Yeah, should I summarize
Okay.
or what? Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah. So I was saying thank you. I was saying a few minutes ago, I just posted in the chat that anyone. I mean, I was a good time. And then I was saying that it's going to be important to practice all you've shared afterwards so it gets to stick. Because I mean, constraints to layout and all of that could be tricky. So practice makes the designer gets better at using a particular feature in Figma. So that's what I just wanted to say. And then I wanted to say, anyone, I mean, a question or maybe need a clarification at some point, you could just drop it in the chat section and then David will take that. I hope you see here. Well, I think David dropped off because of network or something. But then if you have questions, you could drop it in the chat and then, okay, David is back, so we'll take that, or I do that even if we get to have an internet challenge. Thanks everyone for joining in. I'll just drop in the social handles you could follow Instagram and Threads, and then we have a WhatsApp group. Twitter, you see the link to the WhatsApp group, and then you could join in and then have a great time with us. Still expecting if you have one or two questions. In the absence of any, I don't know if David. Okay, so Latifa said, would be nice if we can get a recording maybe in case we have questions when practicing. Yeah, sure. The recording will be sent this night or tomorrow morning to your respective emails. The YouTube channel. What I would also do is you could search for Friends of Figma Just YouTube channel and then check it during the course of today and over the weekend. The recording will be up. So yeah, if you're practicing, you could tweet at us if you encounter any challenge, tag us, or maybe join the WhatsApp group so you could, I mean, send a direct message to David or any member of the community to put you through. Yeah, you get the recording and it will be very, very nice. I hope I was able to. All right. David, I don't know if you have any maybe final one or two information or tips you want to tip in before we call it the end. I see maybe people are pushing their questions to when they try to apply the working with auto layouts and constraints for responsiveness. I mean, I learned a couple of things. Maybe the next later today, I'll just try my hands and see how I can just switch from one breakpoints to another and see how well it turns out. Maybe I'll do a video about it and put it up on our WhatsApp. Maybe.
Yeah. So basically just want to say yeah, it's nice to
Um,
can you
not
hear
sure I
me?
can hear it. I don't even know if I can hear. Okay, I can hear you now.
So basically I'm saying I just want to say so basically it's just you just need to just check constraints better. And one thing I should also point out is when designing like a SaaS product, I think let me just share okay, let me just share something. So what I'm just saying is that say you are designing like a SaaS product now. Now most of the times when you want to do your grid should not be on your grid should not be on the whole dashboard, on the whole desktop itself. So your grid would be on just the part of the design. Let me give an example. So I'll just draw a small frame here for you to just see. What I'm saying is that let's say you have like this desktop now, this now. Let's say you have like your navigations here. Let's just assume it's a navigation. Just let me just give it a few. This is on navigation. Now your grid will be on this part. If you notice, so you can add what you add your say you're adding a grid, you're using a layout grid. So your grid can be what on here. Then you say, okay, let's say you're using 16 or you're using what 12. Now the reason why is that, and a good example is with Twitter actually. Now, if you notice what was happening while we were while we were checking the viewports and we were switching around. Now, if you notice, what was changing was not necessarily what this navigation part. What will be changing what is here. So when you are designing now, this is what will be switching first. What will be switching and you'll be seeing. Then obviously your navigation is also there. But this one, there are different contents on its own. Then before the navigation word changes. So I just want to just point that out that okay, whenever you're designing, just especially for dashboards, if you are designing for dashboard, always have your grid at your contents. Always have your grid at the contents so that when by the time you switch this, okay, don't let me need to do the constraints for this. So by the time you switch this one, you can just align your items here and align it easily. So you know that you are working with your margins. Yeah, I understand that many spacing is very, very important when designing. Like you should have like good spacing. We have different spacing points. I love to use 8 points, 4 point system. So those one just points that are apart from constraints. Good use of grid is always very good. So that's what I just want to say for last. And yeah, let's just keep enjoying and keep designing. And yeah, and so lastly is just you can find me on my social media here. I'm on LinkedIn as David Shitu, Twitter as David Shitu. I'm going to start writing soon on Medium, also as David Shitu. Yeah, that's basically it from my end.